This podcast includes explicit language and sensitive topics that some may find offensive.
All views expressed belong to the individual speaking and not a representation of any entity that we have been, am now, or will be affiliated with. It's your chance to back out now.
That being said,
If not, enjoy the show.
Previously on The Black Man Misunderstood. To finally have a black-led movie, a black-led cast.
Black man, misunderstood.
It's your boy Mike B.
In the neighborhood therapist. Welcome to the Black Man Misunderstood. Here we discuss topics about the black man that others are afraid to speak on. I am your host, Justice Payne Tyson, but you can call me the neighborhood therapist. And as always, I'm rocking with my brother, Mike B.
Yeah.
And this is Season 3, Episode 28, Bridging the Gap. I'm not going to be long-winded about this. I'm just going to hit y'all with a little synopsis, a little soliloquy. I like how this man put this together, so I'm going to hit y'all with this. His mission is to put black families back together again and heal from the past traumas brought on by slavery, Jim Crow, and modern-day employment drama. He fights for the children whose parents are trying to put the family back together again. This man really don't need an introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and let him go off. My brother, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, people. I am Len Sturdivant. I am I'm a psychologist, but I'm mostly a relationship coach. And I specialize in families who want to stay together. Since insurance don't cover couples, the market is wide open for what I do. What makes me unique is that I do 2-hour sessions. Because if you're in relationship trauma, you're going to need more than that 50-minute clinical thing. So that's been my experience, and that's my lane. That's where I live.
All right. So the Relationship Coach Pro, tell us about that.
The Relationship Coach Pro kind of grew out of when I was a doc student at Virginia Tech, and I saw couples who got 50 minutes worth of session time, and they left just as frustrated as they did when they came in. And I said, once I start practicing, I was going to make sure that people were going to get their money's worth. And I kind of vowed at that point, I'll only do 2-hour sessions from here on. Individual, couple, family, group, whatever. We're always going to get in 2 hours. I've done 3. I've done 4. I've done 5 straight continuous hours. So when you're getting in that kind of work, you don't even hit therapeutic efficacy until you hit 50 minutes. That's when you're about to turn the corner, but that's when most people get cut off. So I love doing 2-hour sessions. Most of my therapy friends hate it, and they send me their couples. So it's all good.
Now I gotta ask, how is your self-care? Because how are you able to pull that off? Because like you said, a lot of therapists like, nah, that's too long.
Yeah, I know, I get that. I've been doing this since 15, so I'm saturated. It's for me, it's just like it's a passion. I'm a kind of nerdy kind of guy, so I read most of those books up there, and I really am. I'm into it. I don't retail therapy. I don't do that. So I don't see 9 people in a day. Then I hear people brag, "Oh, I see 9 people in a day." I might see 3 people in a day tops. My average is 2. Uh, but and say, "Well, you working hard." I'm like, "No, you doing 9. I'm doing 3. I got 3 notes. You got 9 notes. So uh, who's working harder?" So
Fact.
I'm just saying.
Respect. Okay. All right. Let's get into it, brother.
Yes. All right. So, as folks know, this episode is called Bridging the Gap. Neighborhood therapist. I'll be. I guess it's easy to say this is the start of a new series for us. Possibly, but I think it is
Possibly.
because bridging the gap. We wanted to bridge the different generations. So before we can do that, we have to explain the generations. So I'm gonna start off with the generations. Now that what we go by the names, nicknames, and some of their quirks, some of what they say, this is how they are and this is what they do. So we're going to start with the baby boomers, of course, from doing my research, of course, and me also being in marketing, kind of having to learn this back when I was in school and stuff. I've recently come to find out that there was two sets of boomers. The set of boomers that came during the war, those individuals who got drafted, and then the ones that came after. Which this kind of actually makes sense when you look at some family dynamics of older siblings being in the army and going to war for certain things, while the younger siblings of that generation were just home with their parents because they were too young. But with this generation, they're usually confident, they're independent, self-reliant, definitely aren't afraid to put it in the hard days of work, and they like competition and are goal-centered. All right, and that's from the years of 1946 to all the way to 1964. And this was the largest generation before the millennials came apart. That's also a tidbit to know. All right, next we're going to get into the Generation X. This is from 1965 to 1980. These individuals are resourceful, independent, keen on maintaining a work-life balance, typically called the forgotten generation because everyone talks about the boomers and the millennials and now Generation Z, and tend to be more liberal on social issues and more ethnically diverse than boomers. Next, we have the millennials. This is the largest generation in Western history. We are technologically savvy, civic oriented. We're very conscious when it comes to health, social, economic, and environmental issues. Were looked at as global citizens. We see the world as a whole thing, not just separate countries. We are also entrepreneurial, flexible, pragmatic, idealists, authentic, diverse, and frugal. Now, this is the generation that we tend to get confused with. This is Generation Z, 1970 to 2012. These are well-educated, family values, societal changes. They look for money stability and career advancement is very important to them. They really don't have any memory of life before smartphones. These are the kids who grew up with the cell phones and tablets in their hands, not us. And of course, they always had the internet from day one. And there's a newer generation that are now being born. This Generation Alpha. There's not really too much information on them. That is to be determined. And that started 2013. And the crazy thing about that is that's the year that I believe me and the neighborhood therapist both graduated from our undergrad from school. So
I want to make a bold claim today on the podcast, on the show. You ready? Generation Alpha is going to be the generation to end racism. Because the next thing is going to be classism. I said what I said.
I agree, actually, because right now there are more black and brown teenagers than white teenagers. So it's already taken effect.
Respect to that. Ooh, I like that. We already starting juicy.
Okay.
So before I throw this over to my brother over here, I just want the people to understand where we all fit in on this generational time frame. So, Mr. Brother Len, if you can let the people know which generation you're a part of, that'd be great.
I'm representing baby boomers. I don't know how to do the gangs. I was born in 1960, so I'm the cool part of that boom. So in Jay-Z a boomer? A lot of. I mean, we did rap. We invented rap. Just be straight about
Ooh,
that.
you
That's a
talking
fact.
spicy.
That's
Ooh,
I'm
I
just, I'm
like
just
it.
saying. We set the tone for it. So
Hey, respect. I ain't got nothing but respect for that. That I'm pretty sure that's probably true.
Nah, that's accurate. South Bronx. Nah, that's it. He right.
Yep, yep,
He
yep.
right. He
I
right.
and for the listeners, if y'all were paying attention to season 2, pretty sure that was season 2. What a time it is to be 30. You know that me and the neighborhood therapist both fit into this millennial category. We both turned 30 last year, and that was
Incorrect.
what?
Incorrect. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
What
I
you?
am a Gen X being having an experience in a millennial's body. Remember, I was born in the 70s. That's all I'm saying, Mike. I got an old soul, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, he got an old soul for real. I ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna front. But what we were classified is
Right,
millennials. All right.
right,
Yes,
right.
yes. I can definitely. I'll add a tidbit because Big Sis Quiche is an Xer, but she relates with the boomers, which is crazy.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. We do exist. We do exist.
Yep.
Now, I want to get into something juicy. Y'all know the neighborhood therapist. I do research. When a guest come on here, I be researching. I be listening to what they be doing, going through the books, whatever. So, brother Len, need you to understand. I picked through those podcasts, and can I say, first of all, let me get your hats off your flowers now. You phenomenal at what you do. I can tell you phenomenal at what you do by the way you're so passionate about it when you speak about it. Okay. So you said something super, super thought provoking to me, right? Well, through the podcast, right? So you said intergenerational dysfunction, and then you said it's a pattern. So me and Mike often talk about this. We Mike introduced this concept of generational consequence because in social media they call it generational curse. So in your perspective, right now we got curse, we got consequence, we got pattern. For intergenerational dysfunction, where do you stand on that?
pattern,
Pattern for sure. Okay. Okay.
pattern.
Explain that to me.
But I'm backwards compatible. I get what you're saying, but it's a pattern, and until somebody falls on the sword, you either
Mm,
going to hand it forward to the next generation or it's going to die with you. So
Mm,
if you sidestep that sword, then I don't want to feel it. So I'm just going to give it to my kids. That's not a
mm,
curse. That's just a pattern that manifests itself through repetition. And so now, and in my estimate, every generation has successively gotten worse. So
I agree.
in the boomer age, 73% of us had mom and dad in the house. 50% of us were business owners. This is prior to the government coming into our lives in 1964 with the Civil Rights Act. The signing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964 introduced the government into our family, and it decimated our families ever since. We've been going downhill, and this is the thing that Martin Luther King fought for. But when I talk about that, it's like, oh, people get in their feelings about it. I'm like, yeah, but had we gone the Malcolm route, we would be having very different conversations.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Mike, did you hear that? Do you need to hear it again, Mike?
bruh, come on,
All
man.
right.
Come on,
All
man.
right.
Don't even
All right.
don't. I already know how it goes. Go ahead,
Hey,
bruh.
brother Lynn, was that season one, Mike? We had this disagreement.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah, it
was
was
season
season
one.
one.
That was season one.
Yeah. So Mike was bringing up the very topic that you bringing up, and he was like, it helped us, and I was like, nah, I would have preferred to kept it separate the way we were going because we had more businesses, we had more resources, and we were doing for each other, and the black dollar was actually circulating in the black community. That was my thing. But Mike is very kumbaya, peace of love, and I respect it all day, because it gets him into doors that I probably would never get into, and that's why I love him. But I still stand on what I said.
Right.
Separate was the way to go. We can still meet you at a restaurant, and break bread and have a conversation. We ain't gotta hate you, but we definitely gotta build our community back up, and it starts with separate.
Yep. Well, I mean, when you look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, when you look at even here in Durham, Black Wall Street, every time we got the momentum going and we were balling, they came and destroyed it. They never wanted us. They wanted us to be dependent on them, not on ourselves, and we bought into it. And now, but this resurgence that's coming up now, I think we got a real good shot at reassembling and doing black. I've never seen this much black business. I've never seen this much momentum as of right now. Um, White people right now are losing power, privilege, and population, so they're a little distracted right now. So we can kind of do our thing and not have to worry about it. So and this is a wonderful time to just for black business to just flourish and grow exponentially.
Okay, Mike, it's your time to shine, baby. This your topic. Let's get it.
Okay. So, why is there such a division between black men as generations goes on? And I think you already started hitting on it. So just go in. We'll chime in when we can.
So when you look at from 1964 till right now, when a black man wanted to work after the civil rights movement, after the Civil Rights Signing Act, if a black man couldn't find work, then if he wanted his family to eat, he could not stay in that house. He could not stay in that home. Up north, it was real popular. They called them welfare raids, and they would come in, at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. If they found a pair of shoes, underwear, belt, pants, men's shirt, they cut off those benefits. So if he wanted, I mean, it was a sacrifice because 64, 65, 66, they were shipping the jobs overseas to China, who was happy to work for a nickel an hour. All of them, all of the jobs that required physical labor, and they shipped them off, and we got really mechanized really fast. Assembly lines, you had robots starting to happen, and our usage was starting to diminish. You know, and ever since then, it's been crazy. And so the black man. So subsequently, what happened was now the data is around 85, maybe 87% of black boys black boys and black girls are not growing up with a father in the house. The only time we were needed was labor and insemination. Other than that, there really wasn't much usage for us, and it's still going on as we speak.
That's very very true. They just finding different avenues to add on to it. I think we've said this before, like because we were part of. Well, we were younger, but we saw the repercussions of it when we talked in our fatherlessness episode, and I think one or two other episodes. But the bill, the three strikes you're out bill, that basically took the fathers out of the home. They were trying to stay in there, keeping them, locking them up. So it continued the cycle, even with us, our
Right.
generation, and after that. So yeah, I definitely see a point where it started with the government moving stuff over, and then they slowly started spreading it to other different avenues, and that's definitely one of the avenues that I know from that also helped with that whole process. Not to mention all this started way back when in slavery, when they always try to make an example of the black man, and we've talked about this plenty of different times, and show that he's weaker, less inferior to the white man in front of everyone, just to make sure that everyone remembers that.
hmm
Yeah. So.
well, the pressure to be heterosexual and black and male is greatest right now because you represent a genetic annihilation threat. Okay, black women are number 2 in representing genetic annihilation threat. But why are black men number 1? Because we can force sex. That's what makes you the threat. And because of that, every effort to make you look bad, suppress you, make you less than in appearance. Even these ads on TV now. You see, 5 years ago, you wouldn't have seen 2 black men kissing on TV in an AIDS commercial, drug AIDS commercial. And now you're seeing black women kiss on TV, and so it's like we're just so scared of you that we're going to diminish you in every way possible. So the threat is real, but we're so resilient that all of this stuff. You remember what Miss Seeley said? Everything you've done to me, already done to you. Now you're starting to see that boomerang effect because when you're losing power, privilege, and population all in the same breath, you have to know that's karma. White women aborted 1.5 million babies in a year. CDC told Congress. Congress took out Planned Parenthood and now reversed Roe v. Wade because white women ain't having enough babies.
Mm.
That's the problem.
Speak on it. Speak on it. Speak on it. Ooh.
So in that year, and see, you know how they like to do statistics, but let me give you the reverse of those statistics. For every 1 abortion a black woman had, a white woman had 5 of them. Now you're not going to see that on CNBC or MSNBC, but when you look at the raw numbers, don't give me percentages. Give me the raw numbers so I can conceptualize better.
Oh, coming on here spitting straight facts. Woo-hoo. I can't even be mad at that. I have a question before we continue with that, right? So with white women having more abortions than black women, right? Is it fair to say that with these there's a reason why these interracial couples are also on the rise, and they're feeling threatened by the brothers?
You already know the answer to that. I don't even know why you asking it. You already know the answer to that. Why you asking yourself? You already know.
Yeah, man.
I'm just trying to make sure we clarifying. If he has a statistic to pop out, he can pop it out. Shoot, I'm just saying.
Traditionally, there have been more marriages of black men to white women. It was, I think it was like maybe 50 or 60% more. Now the other statistic is starting to slowly rise. You're starting to see marriages of black women to white men is starting to kind of creep up a little bit. But I've never understood that strategy because of let's call white is recessive. White has to be with white in order to make a dominant gene. So white can't get with anything else. Anything else is going to come out whatever that else is. So I never understood the strategy of why all of these commercials are starting to push the interracial stuff. I'm like, that's only going to diminish you even more. So that's hard, man. But hey, I think this started back around 2007, 2010. I started to notice white women pushing black baby carriages in the mall, at the airport, shopping, in shopping plazas. I'm like, and I'm like, am I tripping? But I think those same people saw that, and it was like it was asymmetrical. And so what these ads are attempting to do is to make it symmetrical. Like, well, you can push black baby carriages, then we can make ourselves the only ones desirable. You see white men with all kinds of women on TV. On TV. Because I ain't gonna talk about them incels, the ones who are shooting up the place. Incel is involuntarily celibate, right? That picture on TV is not exactly accurate. So
Yo,
the plot
be
thickens.
careful what you asking for, Mike.
Hey, we don't run away from the smoke, bro. You know, I'm just trying to
Absolutely
give people give the people what they need to hear. All right,
Absolutely.
so I think we need to dive into this because like if we start continuing those conversations, we'll start to see those pieces. I think also in the differences of the generations with black men now and then. So first one off the books, manners and respect. With this, me and the neighborhood therapist from previous episodes, we've talked about how the respect in the hood, you know, back in the day, the guys on the corner, the gangsters, they not coming for the family, right? They were more so when they started, they were there to help protect the community, and people forget that part of history. But we are now slowly, not slowly, definitely shifted to when it doesn't even matter anymore. You mess with me, I'm coming for your mama, your sister, your brother, your daddy, everybody. Everybody is available, and we're gonna. So that sign of respect kind of disappeared. And then when it comes to the manners side, is I look at it as respect for your parents, period. Which that may tie into some of the things we already spoke about earlier on. Also,
Okay.
Models and prototypes. What did you grow up seeing? So I grew up. I'm blessed. My grandfather was in my life. I saw him. Man, my grandfather had a '66 Buick with the huge deuce and a quarter with the. I saw him open the door for grandma. I'm 3 years old. I'm grabbing the door with my little body and I'm trying to pull the door open for grandma because I saw my grandfather do it. I do it to this day. So, the prototype, what I see growing up right now is all of that's gone away. That sense of pride, that sense of, protectionism, because black men had to scramble. Okay, if I can't get a job, then I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to sell drugs. I'm gonna have to steal something. I want my family to eat. And those kinds of jobs, we weren't, our dollars weren't circulating in the community back in the day. And what caused this imbalance between black men and black women? Again, go back to '64 Civil Rights Act. Black women now have 7 levers of government to pull: child support, welfare, AFDC, WIC, food stamps, Section 8, Medicaid, Medicare. All of those benefits are available if you're not married and you don't have a man in your life.
Mm.
When you look at the benefits that are available to us, it's not the same. We have a very asymmetrical relationship to the government. And it's obvious and it's clear to me. And because of that asymmetrical relationship, it causes friction between us. And the rest is history. We're not getting married as much. We're going through a lot of relationship issues. A black boy needs to see a man love his mama. A black girl needs to see a man love her mama so they can know what to expect in a relationship. All of that's, it's slowly coming back, but it is a struggle because we're going into relationships not knowing what to do.
Absolutely.
you about to add, bro?
I think we're gonna get to it in a bit. So I'm gonna jump in there.
All right. So you already started on the next topic about protecting our families. I'm gonna specifically speak on protecting and respecting our women. Um, and we've been pointing out the facts all episode, guys. All episodes. He's been laying it down. Brother Lynn has been providing you the the nuggets that built to this reason why the generations are not protecting and respecting women as much as we did back then. Um, he's already laid out the government is against it. They don't want the men there at all. So if you don't need it's basically saying you don't need him. We got you. You don't need him to protect you. So that results in us not respecting the women because so we no longer need to be here for you. So why should I respect you? That builds to that. And Anything you want to add on to that, Brother Lynn?
Well, I mean, when you don't grow up with a father in the house, um, it changes the dynamic of the family, and so in a lot of families that I've noticed, here's mom, here's dad, here's a family system. If the man is not in that system, it creates a vacuum, and one of these members of the sibling group kind of steps into that vacuum. Me and you call that spousification. It's usually the oldest boy. Very rarely do we talk about the oldest girl being sucked into that spousification role. That's a whole nother episode. So as we are being spousified, there's a little bit of resentment because I should not be trying to take care of your needs. You should be turning my mom uh, should be turning to women her age and her peer group instead of turning to me. That's inappropriate. Spousification is emotional incest. You just really want to get down with it. And you see women parading their sons all dressed up and all the women compliment, oh girl, he's so cute. Oh, he's gonna be a heartbreaker. And the little boys is taking all of this in and you're the man. He's the man at 5 years old. We are the man at 5 years old. Okay. And so you grow up and you get inculcated. You learn through repetition that you're the man. And around 13, 14, and there's no man around to get up in his chest. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And then it's like, well, I'm the man. Because at 14, he is probably 2.5 times stronger than his mom. 16, 17, 18 is like 4 times as strong. So if there's nobody there to check him, wow. That the ramifications of that are just horrendous, for socialization, for being in a relationship. It's just horrible. They don't know how to be in a relationship. Had to take care of his mom. So a lot of resentment there. I've had guys in that we had to kind of tear them away from that relationship because they were enmeshed, right? I don't. When you have family systems that are enmeshed, they become very insular. They don't let new information in. We just stay in our own little bubble and we just figure stuff out until some family member goes out and gets a social worker. And the social worker now is well, what did you do that for? And now we got to deal with this and that, and we were all right. And But that kid knows that something intrinsically knows that something's wrong with his family. And you bring in the outside help. And it's a lot of resentment. I mean, because mama's used to big ball and shot call, and if dad's not around, then she's it. You don't dare go against mama. That's a sin.
It was. This new generation, they built different.
Facts. Facts. But no, I definitely understand. See what you're talking about with that. I think the crazy thing is, to an extent, with me and neighborhood therapist, we've talked about it previously on this season. We come from very true, strong, very women-led household. But I think the difference with us is that, like you said, you had your grandfather to check you. But he definitely had his grandfather do it, and when his father came back and he allowed his father back in, I believe his father did the same. With me, my father was there, really wasn't there, but there was moments where my father did check me as I grew older with certain things. But I had my village around me, like church members, older dudes that my sister would talk to me, like, can you just keep an eye on my brothers to make sure we're good. So yeah, that chin checking part is definitely needed. Like most people don't realize, like, they think chin checking is like, oh, I'm gonna beat you up, I'm gonna put you against. No. When we talk about the chin checking, it's coming from a caring and loving moment. They're like, we don't want you to do this. because we maybe did it and we know the consequences, or we're just trying to help you learn that there's an action and reaction to everything that you do. Consequence, basically.
Right. Well, your mom can only take you
So
so
far.
far.
Yep.
Right, because women cannot police the boundaries of masculinity. They can't do it, and they want to, and some of them really give it a good try. But there's only so far you can go, and then at that point, the handoff to for me it was my grandfather who kind of brought me in. I had that vertical intimacy from another man, that agape love. He's tying my tie. I can smell the cologne. I can smell the hair tonic and stuff. And I needed that because when I looked into his eyes, I knew who I was.
Mm.
That's vertical intimacy. And today's black male, we don't have. I mean, we don't have any vertical intimacy. We mean mug each other on the street versus black women who 85% of them grew up with a mama in the house, right? So, in terms of vertical intimacy, you see black women who don't know each other. Girl, where you get that hat from? Girl, where you get them shoes from? Girl, where you get your hair done from? Girl, your titties are popping in that dress. They can compliment the hell out of each other like that and go on. We don't have that. And when you look at the advent of rap music, it practically destroys any vertical intimacy between black men. It's always competition. It's always elevation, separation. I'm better. I'm strong. I'm still trying to define my manhood through the rap music. So it's problematic at best. But in terms of vertical intimacy, it's hard. I'm just saying. I mean, it's hard. Because brothers we don't have that kind of relationship with one another.
And Mike, you asked me if I had something to say earlier. That's exactly where I was going. I was going towards the rap. So, 2 Chainz, artist, okay, rapper. He has a song called "Fed Watching with Pharrell." In there, he says, "OGs never fed us. Now young homies fed up." And to me, that was the rest of the song is I like it for what it is, but to me that was the most profound moment to me because I took that and I started speaking to black male clients about that, and I'm like, you feel like that? You feel like because you didn't have a role model in your life, or just somebody a black man to teach you or didn't give you the game, like you feel bitter, you feel resentment. And once they started digging into that, it was like, yeah, like what I need that for? I'm a man now.
Never
And
got
a lot of them, right? A lot of them to get to this age, right? They'll be like 25, 30, 35, 40, and be like, I'm a grown man. What I need a man to tell me anything about. When before, if an OG, and we call him an OG because it's somebody that's just older than you, it don't got to be like an old gangster. It just got to be somebody that got a
I know
little
what
bit
you're
more
saying.
wisdom than you,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Right.
If they come across and they be like, young man, pick your knickers off, or however, I forgot what the word they used to use when they tell you pick your pants up. If an older gentleman tells you that, back in the day, you used to just do it. You got come on, OG, but you do it. Now, oh, you're gonna fight. You're gonna try to fight. And it's like where did we go left? Where did we go wrong with that? Like, I understand dad or a man may not be in the household, but when did it become okay to go to war with your fellow brother or a man that mimics a father figure in your life? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right. And remember, when I look into your eyes, I need to see a reflection of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, when we look into each other's eyes, it's like you're a competitor because nobody was there to check me. Nobody was there. I didn't have that vertical intimacy. I never, and if you never get it as a male, you will chase it. I'll find it in a gang. You ready to put in this work? Yes, put in this work. Right.
Right.
You had that moment of connection when I looked into the gang leader, who is the metaphysical father. When I looked into his eyes, what came back to me was all parts of me were okay. And even though I know what I'm about to do is wrong, I'm going to do it anyway because I got that validation, recognition, and acknowledgement from another man that I never got before. That agape love. So,
True.
and if you don't get it, you'll chase it. Gang homosexuality has skyrocketed, which I think I can correlate the two, not having the father in the house and the rise of homosexuality.
These unwritten rules. I, I feel like there's been a lot of unwritten rules that were passed down, right? And I'm saying passed down because we saw it. And then it, like we've been saying with everything else, everything just been slowly diminishing and changing. Like definitely. I don't know about you, bro, but with me, I don't think I see as many family dinners, right? With the whole family there. Like that, I think that's an unwritten rule that we ran away from, definitely. Because we used to be like, all right, at least one day a week. If it's Sunday, it's Sunday. It's a family dinner. So everyone see each other's faces. I definitely think that's one of the unwritten rules that slowly has disappeared. Like you see some families do it, but you don't hear too much of it often.
Well, it's tough, and for Black women, I tell them, barbershops, church. If you don't have a male, if you don't have an uncle, a brother, a grandfather to spend some time with this boy child, so that when he looks into those eyes, what comes back to him is, I'm okay. But when I look into a man's eyes and nothing comes back to me, I don't know who I am, and I will search for that. And it's one of my favorite questions I ask all my clients. I ask them, "How do you love yourself?"
Mm.
I got a nice. They'll list all the external stuff. I got a nice car.
Yeah.
I got a job. I got an education. I mean, all external. I said, "Well, what about on the inside?" Oh, wow, I ain't never thought about that. I hadn't thought about it because I was in survival mode, and when you're in survival mode, you're distracted. When I ask the question, "How do you love yourself?" I'm asking about that inner child. See, we swap in and out of that inner child all day long. And if you've ever, and here's an example. It's like if you ever heard yourself say, "I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry. Oh my God." In that moment, you were in a child state, the inner child. And the inner child children do what they do. They wreck stuff up and then they go, "Oh, gotta go." And then the adult part of you has to come in and clean it up, right?
Big
Yup.
facts.
And we swap in and out all day long. So now what I'm teaching my couples to do is when you feel that swap, hold it like self soothe like little boy, I got you, little boy. Let me handle this because the little boy in you has to trust the adult. If the adult panics, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, all the what happens is especially if I get anxious, the inner child will take over and will set the place on fire. Your inner child is your defender. That's the one who comes to your defense. Your inner child is the harbinger of all of your secrets. So when I ask the question, "How do you love yourself?" I'm asking, and most people don't have a clue. They ain't never met him, don't know who he is. So let's introduce you to your inner child. Because if you don't know, your inner child will pick your mate. And you know who the inner child's going to pick? Somebody who reminds you of the parent that gave you the hardest time.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
crazy. Yo, that's crazy to think about. Yo, it's crazy.
You hear it all the time in the South. You ain't do nothing but marry your daddy. You ain't do nothing but
Uh-huh.
marry your mama.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's right. That's who the inner child wants. You look at my exes, same height, skin tone, glasses, hair, body, bone structure, cookie cutters.
Yes. Yo, can't even
Is this? I mean,
believe that.
This is unconscious autopilot stuff, man. And look, I said I gotta go back to school because that last one, whew, boy, that last one was something else. And throughout the master's program and the doc program at Tech, I'm like, oh my God, who has been running the show?
Mm.
So it's like I had to take that power back. It's like, if you don't catch on to it, the inner child will pick all of your mates and they're gonna pick the same one. And we're always attracted to the first bully in your life is usually one of your parents. Usually. You're gonna be attracted to that's not gender specific. That could have been it could be a woman. I'm attracted to a woman who reminds me of my father.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
who was the first bully in my life? Man, it's deep, bro. And
It
so
get deep,
what
man.
I'm do, my job is to kind of shine a light on some of these patterns. Like, and I've heard people say, "Wow, I didn't even realize I was doing. Was I doing that? Yeah, you were doing that. I was trying to tell you, couldn't hear it from me." So that part. So I mean, it's I like helping folks shine a light on that pattern, so I can kind of pull you out of that pattern, and you gotta leave home. We find people that make us. We find people that let us play the role we played growing up. So if there's enough brothers and sisters, everybody got a role. You got the superstar, you got the caretaker, you got the rebellious one, the religious one, the comedian, the scapegoat child. Mm. Gonna bear all the family sins, and you're just gonna go live under a bridge. A lot of scapegoat kids under the bridge. Right.
It's another episode too.
Facts. Facts. Woo, I'm loving this.
Sheesh. Now we getting close to the end, right? I just want to hit you with two more questions from my end, and one of them is extremely petty. Are you okay with being petty with me, brother Len?
Come on, man. I see it
All
all
right.
there.
All right. So I got this from you. I need to be very clear for the listeners. This ain't nothing the neighborhood therapist came up with. This is the relationship coach pro. This is all him, right? The second part is me. So he's been talking about power, privilege, and population. When I heard it, you blew my mind. I ain't gonna lie to you, right? So the wheels started turning in my head. And I was like, yo, that's PPP. I was like, yo, I think white people got the real PPP loan centuries ago. It's that.
Yo.
Because I'm like, yo, that's ours. That privilege, that power, that population, that was originally ours. We loaned it to them. And I say that because if you go back in the history books, we were turncoated by our own people and they gave up that power to them. My opinion, of course.
Right. Well, I did a book chapter on white validation syndrome. Originally, that was house nigga, feel nigga. So I kind of cleaned it up a little bit. So, white validation syndrome is that ass kissing, code switching, brown nosing, sycophantic, compliant behavior that gives me an advantage by being in proximity to white people. So, if I'm in proximity, then and I've been in corporate America where, I'm the only black guy in there. But when I saw another black person, I'm like, oh man, I'm happy you here. I'm somebody I can talk to. But when I first came, the only black guy that was there was like, they brought you on. He instantly didn't like me. And we ain't got enough time to go into the narcissism. That's a whole nother episode.
Right.
Behavior has infiltrated everything that we do. Oh, I see it in couples all the time. Especially see it in a lot of black males. You get the narcissism one of two ways. Either you got too much or you didn't get enough.
Speak on it.
So,
Mike, you got anything on the PPP loan?
Bruh, no, I'm just listening because you right though, because when we both listening and he brought that up and he brings it up, and I love how you bring it up, brother Lynn, hands down, like because you don't just give it to the people right then and there. You kind of give the history, you give the stats, you give the information behind it, so when you do say it, they be like, oh, that makes so much sense. I ain't
All
got
the
none of
PPP, all the PPP loans got forgiven, right?
that.
I'm just
Allegedly.
saying. I mean, it just makes sense to me.
Allegedly. They're supposed to be hiring more IRS agents.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you got big stars getting $8, $9, and $10 million, and they applied for the forgiveness, and they got forgiven. But you have a
Mm-hmm.
hard time forgiving my school loan.
Uh-oh.
It ain't about the school loan. It was never about the school loan. It's about maintaining control. If I give you money, I can control
Mm-hmm.
you. If I erase that debt, then I can't control you.
Mm.
The
Yep.
same thing with it's the same quick last blurb. Same thing about the abortion. The abortion ain't about the baby. The abortion is about who's gonna play God. I giveth life and I take it away. Well, white guy said, well, I'm gonna give the life and I'm gonna take it away, and you gonna have my baby, whether I rape you, incest you, or molest you. You gonna have my baby. It's law. So be it.
That's
So
real.
this civil
That's
war that's going
real.
on right
That's
now
real.
amongst white people is the power. Who's going to be God? Who's going to play God? It's deep. We ain't got nothing to do with that. But I'm just saying.
Facts.
My
You right.
observation. That's my only observation. So
Facts.
Hey, I like that though.
Okay. So I'm gonna hit y'all with a deep one. This is near and dear to my heart. This is something I listen to once a week. Okay, that's why I said I got an old soul. So the honorable brother Donnie Hathaway. If for those of y'all that don't know him, y'all need to go listen to it. Okay, Donnie Hathaway says someday we'll all be free. That was in 1973. So brother Len, my question to you and to Mike B, the same to you. What do you think he meant by that? And are we any closer to being free?
man, that's hard, man. I think in the millennial, I think the millennials have and the subsequent alpha. I think that when we get population, right? When we get the House, the Senate, the Vice Presidency, and the Speaker of the House, when we hit all five of them notes, then we'll be free.
Mm.
Till then, it's going to be an uphill battle, but it's inevitable. White is recessive. 100 years from now, you see traces of it. 200 years from now, you won't see any of it. Yeah, but the
Mike.
scientists are working very hard to kind of reverse that decision.
Hey, hey. Yo, only thing I can really add to that, bro, is yeah, everything takes time. It's you can only what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? You can only keep someone down for so long.
Yeah, and they carry so much. They carry 400 years of guilt, and so the
Mm-hmm.
reason they are fighting all of the power, privilege, and population when they're losing and all of that is because they have a fear that we're going to do to them what they done to us. And
Mhm.
Yup.
all 330 million of them guns ain't gonna help you. For the thing that's coming after you, the guns ain't gonna help at all.
Mm.
I would be scared. So, if I were white. So we got 422 years of memories, like, and the people you did that to on the way up, you got to pass them on the way down. You should be scared.
That's cold. That's cold. That's cold.
Golly.
That is cold.
Mm, mm.
Whew. I think if we only could follow it the one way, because we continue, we'd be on here for hours.
Right.
Woo-hoo. So, Brother Lynn, let the listeners know why you decided to join us today.
I was looking. I'm looking for platforms to kind of disseminate this. I think I got the latest information and the latest stats. In this country, there are less than 10 black men who have a PhD in marriage and family therapy. 10. You would think it was nuclear science. It's not that deep. I am trying to be the 11th. Me and Virginia Tech going through some stuff right now. You know, when you get that close, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll need an episode to talk about that one.
Right.
But as you get close, you know, the fear, their greatest fear is the black family is going to reassemble. And what better person to lead that reassembly than somebody's got a PhD in marriage and family therapy? This is because I mean that the AAMFT is a big 70,000 member white girl club. Therapy is predominantly occupied by women, you know. And I have people who are looking for no, I want a black male. I don't want to sit in front of them. We get ours, okay. So, but this thing that's been going on about the suppression. Oh, why is it only 10 black men have a PhD in marriage family therapy? Whose education is commensurate with the license, right? I passed the license exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come up counseling and sat for the MFT license. Then I call myself a therapist. You don't have the systems training or theory that I had. But if I pass the exam, I can call myself that. So when the license is commensurate with the education, then you have a symmetrical deal. It's like, you know, I'm on both ends. I didn't just sit for it and pass it. I actually have the educational background and took the coursework to get here.
Okay. Mike, you got any closing remarks, brother?
All I got to say is, Brother Len, I think I can both say for the both of us, we appreciate you for coming on here. I think this episode here was definitely needed because it's education. It's understanding the generation before us, right? And how you guys are thinking with everything going on. Because, you know, people like to fight change, but some people, the people who embrace it and then take it and pass the baton on to the next person, makes a whole chain reaction and it's a bigger difference going forward. So I want to give you your flowers now and thank you for sharing your time with us. Definitely.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. And I gotta apologize. I lied to you. I got one more question. I got one more question. Heartfelt question. I need you to be super blunt with me. How you been blunt? Okay. You are about to graduate from Brother Len to OG Len. Okay. You are now considered OG Len. I'm gonna talk to you as OG Len. And from OG Len, I need you to tell me specifically as a black man in my 30s, what is it that I by myself need to do? What do I need to work on to change this narrative? To each one, get back to each one, teach one. What can I do in my life?
Learn how to love yourself first and foremost. The 3 pillars of loving yourself: the ability to say no, the ability to establish a boundary, the ability to put yourself first. When you master all 3 of those, you are ready for the next level. And you will look for somebody who has mastered that that same level. You look for another woman who's in that space. You know, this opposites attract. Going into relationships in which, you know, they're asymmetrical, they don't work. Opposites attract. Don't do that. Find somebody like you. Everything that you love about yourself, you will freak out over in a woman who has the same stuff. I'm telling you. And from there, you got somebody on your team, man. It changes your trajectory. It changes everything. Man, I wish somebody told me that 30 when I was in my 30s.
Hey, listeners, y'all heard that? Y'all better rewind and write down what this man just said. Go back, listen to the whole episode. Too many gems on this bad boy.
Many. It's OG Len. Put some respect on his name.
Facts.
Go ahead, Mike.
And with that, folks, what we like to say is we see y'all next week.
Hey.
What up, listeners? Mike B here. Hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us on IG at BMM_podcast. On TikTok at BMM Podcast. Facebook, just type in the Black Man Misunderstood Podcast. And then you can find the Neighborhood Therapist at the Neighborhood Therapist on IG. And you can find myself at MikeB_BMM on IG. And if you want to connect with our producer, the DJ himself, Mr. DJ Daxter, check him out at DJ Daxter on IG. Alright, folks. See y'all next week.